All right, we're back another Saturday on the Watchdogs, our black media. Carlton, we got half of your face. How are you, though?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I was looking down at the text message.
That's okay. All multitasking, as long as you're not driving, I don't think that's a problem at all. We have a candidate running for Chatham County Commissioner, also an active member in the community, Orlando Scott. Mr. Scott, welcome.
Welcome, hey. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Carlton, for having me. I'm on the Watchdog
That's it.
again.
The number one podcast in the
I've
Southeast.
made it. I've made it.
You have made it. There's nothing else to do in life. Nothing else.
It's always a pleasure being on here. I've been on here a few times in the past with my guy Julius Hall and yourself, and it's always fun, just to interact with you all and talk about politics and what's going on in the area. So I'm definitely excited to be here on this Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And we're just going to have fun. Yes,
That's
sir.
it. And I know, Jay Jones, I know we got a slot for him too coming. So
Okay.
We're gonna be much harder on him.
Please do. Please do.
First, who is Jay Jones?
You don't know the Honorable Jay Jones? Oh, I gotta introduce you to the Honorable Jay Jones.
Yeah, Jay Jones, my guy. Jay Jones, my guy, but he's actually running for school board for the district here in 7. He's first congressional Democratic chair, former Chatham County Commissioner for District 6, and former Chatham County Democratic Committee chairperson here in the county. So yeah. Good guy.
Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and kick this day off. For y'all who don't know or wasn't listening, I just happened to nod away for a little bit. This is Orlando Scott, and he is running for District 7 for Chatham County Commissioner. Now, the one thing that I know that a lot of people don't know is actually what does the Chatham County Commissioner do?
Wow, so that's a great question, Carlton. So I sometimes it get a little convoluted, so I'll just clean it up and try to do it in simplest form. A commissioner and the commissioner board is really responsible for overseeing the management and the administration of Chatham County. The departments, whether you're speaking of, courts, board of elections, CAT, public works, the sheriff, all of that. It covers the actual county. So we're responsible for the management of it, for the administration of it. We represent the county's interests when we're representing the state or federal piece of it. We also probably the biggest thing we do is manage the county's budget. So if you think about it, last year, I think the budget was around $254 million for the county. And we are responsible for making sure the expenditures are right and making sure the monies are appropriated in the right places. So we set the budget and we manage it. So in a nutshell, I mean, we have a huge responsibility for this area.
Yeah.
Okay, so my understanding is comparable to like the city council. Is like if you get an easy comparison for people to kind of understand what it does.
Yes, comparison, and Robert definitely understands that, but definitely comparable to the city council. We're the county, so we somewhat oversee the municipalities that's in Chatham County. So whether you're speaking of Savannah, Garden City, Port Wentworth, Tybee Island, Bloomingdale, all of those are municipalities within the county. And so again, a huge role, very important role for us.
Yeah. One of the things, Carlton, I don't know if you were down here for this, but I remember at one time the city and the county merged the police departments, and so we did not have Chatham County Police or Savannah Police. We had the Metropolitan, Athens, Clark County operates like that. Go Dogs, and they have all they have is a commission, but it's a consolidated government. And so, for example, like you said, Orlando, in that particular model, Savannah would be the seat of the county per se, where all the business took place, and I guess all the representatives will represent the broader districts. But what are your thoughts about going to that model? And because I think for some of us like me, I'm in the city, and so when it comes down to property taxes, you're paying city property tax and county property tax. So, what are your thoughts about a consolidated government?
Whew. So my initial thought is we have to fix our relationships here in the county. So going back to your point, we tried the merging Savannah Police Department with the Chatham County Police. And that turned out to be a borderline disaster. And we had to go back to the original model. So, and a lot of the infighting and a lot of what you saw was because of the relationships that I honestly believe that we didn't have built. So if my memory serves me right, we had the mayor, the mayor at the time, and the county chairman at the time were former political foes. So we expected them to work through all the issues and nuances that were occurring there, and they were fighting over money and budget and all of that, and it just never worked. So we have to fix those relationships. So with that said, in my area, the biggest issue we have is infrastructure in District 7. And by far, if you speak to anyone in West Chatham, they're going to tell you about their frustration around infrastructure. Infrastructure will not be fixed unless we have a coordinated effort from our federal government, our state, the DOT, and the local municipalities, where we are working together for a common solution. And if I had to pick one thing that scares me about going into this seat, is the fact we haven't really developed those relationships to work together. I'm talking about across the board. So I don't know right now if we could form, going back to your original question, if that government style would be good for us here. I think we have to do a better job in fixing the relationships that we have throughout the county.
I can say based off because work for the board, I know the student growth and the population growth that particular area that you're speaking of is experienced, because a lot of people have decided to move out of Savannah and move to those areas because it's an up and coming area, it's new, and it's becoming very congested. So I do agree with you about the infrastructure.
Yes.
But it's kind of hard to say when I'm assuming when you say infrastructure, like the commuting from like the roadways getting around, that's the main point, because that is a disaster.
Right.
Because the one thing I'm gonna say I hate about living in Chatham County is that if there is an accident on any exit getting out of this county, it backs up everything.
Yeah, everything.
Think about this, Carlton. I want you to think about this. And let's take the city of Pooler. It has the last census a little under 30,000 people. They are projected in 5 to 6 years or so, Pooler will be pushing towards 50,000 people.
Wow, it's amazing.
50,000. So you're talking about a third of Savannah in this small little segment of our county. It is mind-boggling. And I won't say no one has had an urgency around addressing the issue, but I don't think we've done everything we could to really address what's about to happen. The old regime knew all of this was coming. They just developed. They just kept developing. They knew what's happening now. The people that were in play 15, 20 years ago knew this was coming and allowed it to happen. So we're inheriting it, and we got to address it. We have to address it.
Yeah, you know what? When you talk about having a vision, and even now, when we look at the Hyundai plant coming on board and how we're seeing roads expanding, I'm not sure why we didn't take I-16 and do it 4 lanes on each side. That was a that was a misstep there. The other thing, and I've been talking about this for years, I think Carlton, you and I talked about it. We are at a place now where we are ready for a MARTA type situation where we have a inter-county rail service that will take us from Chatham up probably, I would say up around Screven, through Bullock, all the way back around Liberty, Bryan County, and connect us that way. It's the same thing you got in Atlanta with Cobb, with the DeKalb, Fulton, and so forth and so on. So we talk about infrastructure and people getting around. I mean, we've got to get some of these cars off the road, and we've got to figure out ways to adapt, because when that Hyundai plant goes live, I don't know if y'all have been by there. That's a huge site. So imagine the trucks going in and out of that situation.
I go by there 2 to 3 times a week. It's amazing. It's amazing. They and now that plant is going to produce so much water that they don't even have enough water for the residents out there. I think initially they were drilling 4 wells, and now they're afraid it's going to impede on the quality of water for the neighboring residents. So it was no thought. It was like Governor Kemp just said, "Here you go." This is coming. No one knew that this 2,000-acre mega site was coming except the governor's office, and they put it there in Bryan County. And I'm excited in one sense that we received the largest economic development in the history of Georgia, but I don't think we're ready. I really don't. And you're right about the highway, the I-16. It should have been extended. For one, I call I-16 little Atlanta.
Yeah.
But this should have happened 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can say it like this. As far as like them bringing it here, I know back home where I'm from, they've tried to bring, because it's such a small place and they're actually where it's really rural and it would have brought a lot of business. They actually rebutted putting it in our county.
Wow.
A lot of things. I know Diamond Chrysler wanted to put one there. They said no. So they went to the place where they was like, okay, they had to find some county that was going to be like, yeah, we'll take it. We want it. They had to find the yes man. The yes man got paid, and that's all that it wound up being.
Yeah, but you know what? You're right. Probably you're right on that. But the unfortunate part of that is, which is sad, it impacts the residents. You know what I'm saying? I move out there. People move out there because they enjoy the rural spaces and they enjoy the quiet. And now you got all this stuff going on. I can't even have water anymore. Oh, and by the way, I might have PTSD. Seriously, those are some real issues and why people move to those areas. And now it's like, now I got to just uproot and maybe go to a Bryan County or a Screven County because they don't. It's just it interests me. It's like we got these warehouses in Savannah. How now, if you go down, what road is that? Oh my goodness, back up there,
Veterans Parkway.
Yeah, back in that area. Mm-hmm. If you go on Buckhalter Road, Road, you can literally look out somebody's backyard and see the entrance of the warehouse. Like, come on, folks.
So you're speaking like the Rockingham Farm area and all of that. Mm-hmm. It's a sin what they did over there.
Yeah,
it's a sin. They, from what I'm told, Robert, they cleared all the natural vegetation over there. It's gone. Now, if we have 100-year storm, what does that look for those residents over there? It's like there has to be a balance where we allow developers to come in, but we can't have it one way where they're impeding on all of these innocent people, like you said, a lot of these areas, they went there for the serenity, for the coolness, for the quietness, and it's being taken away. And it's not right. It's not right. So you need somebody there that's going to fight for the citizens, not just someone that you like and that's going to make you feel good, but someone that's going to sit there and fight for your rights and to make sure that you have the best as possible quality of life of where you lay your head. And I just, I don't see it happening. I really don't.
I'm gonna say it like this. I'm a random person approaching you, and I'm like, I don't feel like the current people are doing what they're supposed to do. I'm looking for a new candidate to endorse. What are you gonna put? What are you planning to put forth? What are you bringing? What's the skill level behind and all of that you bringing forth to make me feel comfortable in my decision in putting you in that seat?
Got you. And and by the way, we have some great public servants out there. I'm not taking that away. So what I would say, let me focus on the person I'm running against, who is a five-term incumbent. That one is not accessible to, that never venture. I've lived out in West Chatham for 14 years. Never seen the guy out here ever. I'm out all the time. Like, I'm at every event on the west, on the west side. I'm involved in the community over here. I've never. So when you say what will I bring versus the other candidate, is accessibility, is someone that's transparent, that I welcome. I welcome town halls. I welcome, opportunities for residents, constituents to engage me, because that's the only way, Carlton, that I'm gonna know what the issues are. If I stay in my silo, stay at home, I'll never know the true issues. So I think accessibility, transparency. I think someone that's going to fight for all people. That you can't just be one-sided and only talk to one group of people. So that's some of the things that will differentiate me from my current opponent. And I bring a different a different skill set. I'm a 25-year veteran retail district manager. I've managed millions of dollars, and I manage HR, asset protection, just different things. So my insight is probably a little different than most as career established politicians. So I see things from a different lens. And when you're growing, and especially in the West Chatham area, as progressive as we are, I think it's good to have someone that isn't looking through blinders and can see differently. And I think that's what we need here. I really do, because it's right now is non-existent. So that's it's a few things that will differentiate me from my opponent.
All right. Well, let's take a step back really quick. This is one of the questions we probably should have asked earlier, but what are the boundaries of your district that you're running for?
Great question. And I usually start off with that, because when you say District 7, that for most people, well, where is that? Most people don't even know where the districts are. So my boundaries will include all of Pooler, the city of Pooler,
Okay.
all of Bloomingdale, and West Chatham unincorporated, which includes the Berwick area, Southbridge community. I have parts, and you know about this area, parts of Little Neck, not all of Little Neck, but going back toward New Hampstead, that's all the district there, and then a small piece of Old Garden City. It's a very small piece. So I mean, but as far as the land mass, I believe it's the largest as far as mile radius in the county. That district there is pretty huge. It covers a lot of ground, and we've seen, as you know, a lot of growth out there. I drove down, Robert. I drove down Little Net Road today. It's been probably a couple of months since I've been down there, and just looking at not just the development, but the land that's undeveloped over there. And I'm thinking in the next 5 years, all this going to be developed.
I'll never forget. I was out there last year in a campaign, and they there were some mad folks out there because the developers, the city of Savannah has given developers just a free reign to do as they will. And they were just telling these people what they were going to do. Again, these folks moved out there for the serenity, the quietness. Now we got 600 homes, and you want to add another 1,000. And by the way, we're not improving these 2-lane roads.
It's 2 lanes. It's 2
lanes.
And
there's no impact. It's interesting. But we'll come back to that. Let's hit a commercial break really quick, and we'll be right back, y'all.
Good deal.
All right. We're back.
Yes, sir.
Carlton, where are we going with the next question?
I forgot. Usually I like to start off with this because people, even though you running as a political candidate, we need some kind of background on you, like a little. We don't need we ain't gonna go. We don't need to in depth, and we don't need to go in depth back to the point we use in elementary school. But a little bit of a personal aspect, so the people can actually get to know the candidate who they feel like who could potentially be our next District 7 representative.
All right, so I'll give the 1 minute, 2 minute elevator speech. So I'm a father, husband, brother, son of this community. Born and raised in Savannah, Georgia. Been here most of my life, all but 10 years. I graduated Savannah High, Savannah State University, in the School of Business Management. And again, I've spent most of my career in retail management. So I worked for several Fortune 500, 200 companies, from Circuit City, Dollar General, and Auto Parts, in Murphy, USA, in different capacities. I'm an elder at my place of worship, Overcoming by Faith, a men's ministry leader over a couple of men's groups there, and very active in the community here. It serves in different capacities throughout the community, involved in our local Democratic. I'm a proud Democratic member. So I'm involved in the party, have been involved for several years now, and a state, along with Robert, state committee member. So just serving. I'm a servant by nature. Servant leadership is what I stand on. So everything that I do, whether it's at home, whether it's in church, whether it's in community, or on the job, for me, it's about service. And if our public servants understand that it's not about me, it's about what I do for others, I think we would be in a much better situation than we are now. So that's a little bit about me and what a little bit about my history and my background. Call.
Okay. Also, one of my favorite second questions that I love to ask political
Okay.
candidates when they come on this show. Me being a young voter, what's your plan to reach out to the young demographic? Because we got some new voters, we got some who got a couple election seasons in here. Some of them who don't know, they're trying to understand. So, what's a short message to them to kind of get what to reach them?
Calling everything that I'm doing, want to do, and that we do. I know Robert will have the same, probably same opinion on this. We're doing it for the young voters like yourself, that's coming behind us. It's a little concerning to me about the lack of youth participation right now, not just in our community, but in our nation. We call it voter apathy, where people aren't just engaged in the process. So one of the things that I want to do is, and we've discussed this with my campaign team, is have roundtable discussions. You know, find out what excites them. What will bring them to the table as far as the involvement in the political process. Making sure, Carlton, that our online presence, and that's something that, quite frankly, I'm probably not the best at, but we got to do more to reach them. And I can't be scared of the social media aspect of campaigning, because that's where our young people are. So we have ideas around TikTok, and I know what's going on with TikTok, but TikTok, Instagram, and of course Facebook, but different things that we can ignite them around as far as getting engaged. Because here's the reality, and Robert, you know this: the last voting cycle, most of the municipalities went down in participation. So I think all but Pooler and maybe Tybee Island had a slight increase. And I attribute that because our older generation, they're dying out. They're dying out, and we're not replacing those voters with the youth that are coming through. If you look at Vote Bill, what we measure voting, 20, 30-year-olds are few and far between. They don't vote on a consistent basis. So we change that. We got to listen to them. We got to engage them through other means. And if I had to answer, Carlton, I'll be a billionaire. but we're definitely going to try and engage the people here, because they are our future. And everything we're doing now is actually for them. Because the when you talk about roads, when you talk about the growth, you're talking about services that we don't have, especially in West Chatham. Robert, do you know we do in the city in West Chatham area? There's not one hospital.
Yeah.
One
The
hospital.
closest hospital to you all would be St. Joseph's, and that's still kind of a hike.
There's not
Now,
one.
if you're a Pooler, you jacked up.
You jacked up. So
Yeah.
I'm hearing
a piece of hospital out there.
Not a piece of hospital. That's like
that's
an urgent care.
yeah, it's like urgent care, and it's
Now,
not really urgent care.
Right.
They originally designed it to be an ER room, but I don't think the governor ever signed off on it. They couldn't get it passed, so it's not even a piece of hospital. So people in West Chatham are getting quicker service going to Hardyville, to coastal
Wow.
Carolina.
Wow, I didn't think about it. That's crazy. That is
Yeah,
absolutely nuts.
That's interesting.
yeah. I had a my wife had COVID, like severe COVID. This
Yeah.
was in 2022,
Hmm.
and it was one of the most helpless feelings I've ever had. She had an elevated heart rate, where it felt like she couldn't breathe. So I'm rushing her to the hospital because I'm not waiting on EMS.
Oh no,
So
not in
I'm
Chatham
rushing. I'm
County.
rushing to the hospital. We're stuck on the Ren trying to get to Candler
Oh,
Memorial. In the middle, she wants me to go around traveling. Like, I can't go. There's nowhere for me to go because there's a medium there. So this is a life and death. When you talk about life and death, this is a life and death issue
seriously.
that we have to address.
And you can thank City of Savannah for that ignorant Duran situation. Hey,
Well,
I'm just saying,
that's a whole nother subject.
You know, I can never I can never believe that they actually approved for Starbucks, Parkers, and
bro,
Chick-fil-A to be on a corner on
bro.
the Ren Avenue.
And Captain D's and
And
Bacon.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Like,
Well, that's another show for another day.
yeah, yeah,
That's another show for another day. But it's an issue. If you don't have people in the line of fire that's fighting for you,
hmm
you're just wasting your vote. You're just wasting your vote.
I
So
mean, I'm gonna say on the aspect back to I want to hit on that hospital topic. I mean, genuinely, I feel like the quickest way to get a hospital out there would be to reach out to one of these because it's more than likely that it's not going to be a county hospital because we know that's Memorial. We know that it's Memorial, but it would have more than likely, if anything, it would have more than likely be a private hospital. So more than likely, I feel like if it came down to it, it had to be reached out to like maybe St. Joe's, Advent, option one of those to say we're gonna put the money for this hospital because they know they get it back because it would not only benefit Chatham County, it would also benefit like the rural Bryan, rural Effingham, those people
yeah.
who can't get to who their hospitals are small and anyway they have to come out here.
hmm hmm
so,
And as a matter of fact, if I could add this, Orlando,
mhm.
you know, we need another trauma responding hospital in the region. We don't have many trauma responding hospitals in
Other
Georgia.
than Memorial.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. So my understanding is the governor's office has to sign off on hospitals. And I know they were working on a bill this year to take them out of the picture. So we wouldn't have to go through the bureaucracy of getting a sign off for the hospital. Memorial and Candler is ready to come to West Chatham. Um, the governor's office hasn't, I guess, for whatever reason, I don't know, hasn't approved it. So I know Mayor Karen Williams in the city of Pooler was working immensely to really push that legislation to take the governor's office out. With that said, I think it's a bunch of politics being played. This is the same governor that won't allow Medicaid expansion to the state of Georgia. So, I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Excuse me. But again, going back to my point, this is a life and death issue that we have to address. So it's really sad, really sad, really sad.
Yeah, when you really think about it, I mean, I didn't. You brought up a good point. When you're in Screven County or you're in Bullock or Little Wissy, you jacked up. I mean, God forbid.
Statesboro has a hospital.
Well,
Statesboro has a
we do
hospital.
have one. You know, I still clean sticks, bro.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I'm about to watch this. I'm about to make real culture real mad. We got two Eagles on here.
Uh-oh.
But
You heard what I said? So we
you
have
can't upset me that it ain't nothing upsets me that easy. I'm very mad. Very.
But yeah.
But yeah, there was man, I met a resident in Pooler that had kidney stone issues,
Mm.
and and had an emergency, I guess severe pain. And he said it took him almost 45 minutes to get to the ER.
Wow. Wow.
And yet we know not to call emergency services because that's just as long. So we take our chances, but it's a real life issue that we have to address out here. And I think a lot of the issues and other things we're dealing with has just is from a lack of just of awareness, or I don't care, or whatever it is. But we're going to change that. We're going to change that and really address the concerns of many of our citizens out here.
That is the truth. One of the things I remember, I don't know if you made it to the West Chatham leadership meeting where three wonderful, brilliant women came together and were looking at environmental issues. So one of the things they brought to a number of people, Ron Stevens, a number of people were there, but they were talking about how, in particular, this annexation, as these municipalities annex parts of the county, the sheer irresponsible leadership around that part. And so, for example, let's say City of Savannah annexes what we have now as New Hampstead, not necessarily following their own ordinances, right? And so, remember I talked about the warehouses earlier. When they allow those warehouses, there's supposed to be a buffer zone.
Industrial buffer, yes.
Industrial buffer zone. If you go down on Geechee Road and you see these new apartments right across, Overthrow or something, no buffer zone. So you got the city basically annexing property, and it's not just Savannah. So I'm not just picking on Savannah.
Yeah.
But they're not following the ordinances. But the thing I loved about it was that they were looking at how we are disturbing natural habitats for different species. And so now you start seeing alligators in Tatumville, bears and lions and cats and all these things. And like there was literally a hawk in my yard one day. We got to chill out.
These guys they'll annex the country of China if they could get away with it. And at the end of the day, it's about building their tax base.
Yeah,
we just had Garden City that was attempting to annex a good chunk of West Chatham, Berwick area, Georgetown, and
that's smart.
I went to two of the state legislators and I say, don't y'all sign off on this because it'll never pass. Because I hear the voice of the people and they don't want it. So the industrial buffer is real. So what the developers will do, they'll promise one thing, and we don't do a good job. When I say we, I'm talking about the government doesn't do a good job of following up to make sure that whatever they commit to, they do. So there's a 323 acre property. If you're familiar with Geechee Road, you just talked about it, and right by the little, I think that's Little Neck there.
Yeah, it's not too far. Yeah.
All that land that they cleared, and there was supposed to have been a 100-foot buffer or something for something, and they only did 40, something like that. So I know they're fighting the same thing, and we already talked about Rockingham Farm, and they're having issues also in Bloomingdale, where they're just taking over the land and there's no industrial buffers whatsoever. And we're going to have, if we continue to remove all the green space in our area, we're going to have a catastrophe in this area. We haven't had a hurricane, a real hurricane here in over 100 years. In over 100 years. So we don't know what the effects of that is going to be. There's all kind of stormwater issues going around the county that is really getting out of hand. So we have to address that. We have to address that. And before I'm almost to the point we need to I don't know if I should say this, but
You said nice.
there should be an industrial like moratorium for a year till we figure out all of this.
The reason, but you know what? I can agree with you on that. The only issue with that is, and you know what Jay Jones would say, economics. You know, this is tied to all these warehouses tied to that port. Then tell me what. Now watch this, y'all. What irks me, and Keisha Gibson Carter would say this. You know how much money comes through that port every day. Why we got a poverty problem in Savannah? Why we got a homeless problem?
Well, it is tied to economics, and I'm actually for economics. I think they're the engine drivers of any community. But you can't forget about the residents. Is my point.
I do have.
Yes.
Y'all mentioned annex. I'm kind of confused about what you mean when you say annex.
Good question. So, annex is where a city takes control of an unincorporated area or takes over an area that's cut. For instance, so I give you an easy example. I live in the Berwick community, and I don't know if you're familiar with like Stonebridge subdivision, Southbridge, enclaves. Okay. We're governed by the county. So we're not, even though I have a Savannah address, I am not governed by Savannah, Georgia. Is Wilmington Island, another perfect example, is an unincorporated area. So you have a Savannah address, but they're not governed by Savannah. Annexation is when the city says, hey, I'm going to take over this area. So I'm going to come into Berwick, and whether it's Garden, we're talking about the city of Savannah. Garden City tried to do this, where they tried to say, hey, we want to take over this county area and annex it in to our city, so we can collect taxes off of it. But in exchange, we'll service the city. You can use our services. If there's a fire, police, emergency, EMS, we'll take care of you. Just give us the tax base. And that's really what it is. It's a tax plate. You can use our water, all of that. So when we say annex, it's just the municipality taking over an unincorporated area and bringing it into their body of the city.
Okay, because I can remember when I worked for the camp for Public Works and I did solid waste. I can remember how many areas that we serviced, and I was like, okay, this is a lot, but in the same time, it's not a lot because some of the areas kind of cross boundaries with each other. Because like out there in Georgetown, the back part of one of it, everything else is the county, but that back part is the city of Savannah.
It's the city of Savannah, correct.
I say, how did this happen? I say, y'all skipped all of this front part to get just this one part right here.
I guarantee if they can get it now, they will get it. I guarantee you. So actually, that part is probably the part Garden City was trying to get at the end of last year. They actually produced legislation to annex into Georgetown. So I'm not familiar with the exact area of Georgetown, but I guarantee you that was part of it. Guarantee you. And Garden City not only tried to get Georgetown, they wanted the Berwick community where I stay. So yeah, it's a play because the driver is the taxes that you collect for your municipality. So the more homes you have in the city, the higher your tax base will be, the higher you can drive that budget up. So that's mainly the play for annexation.
You want to talk about weird annexation, Carlton? I don't know if you noticed, but if you go out to Pooler, right, you know where Cheddar's is, isn't that right? You go through, if you come from a certain angle, you'll go through Port Wentworth, Pooler, and we're back in Savannah, the Highlands. That's all Savannah.
Yes, the Highlands is the city.
I'm like, but that's how that, and then all the so you're going down 95, right? You're by the outlets in Pooler. You know all those hotels right here? That's city Savannah.
And for what I'm told, Robert, they just gave it to the city of Savannah because they just gave it to them. The city of Poole at the time, the city manager and everyone is, the craziest thing, So it's real. It's real.
That's why you gotta have going back there. You gotta have people who have a vision for because the city of Savannah knew whoever was in charge and knew when they built that airport out there what time it was. I mean, and here's my favorite. If you're going down, what is that? Is that 80? Whatever. To Fort Wentworth from Savannah, there is I guess a collection of warehouses, like 20 warehouses tucked off. So it's all Port Wentworth and that little slip of land in Savannah. I said, boy, I'll tell you, them jokers were slick back then.
Very. But I would like to say that, a lot of the leaders that we have in office, and I would say, and give the county a little credit also, they pushed back when Ron Stevens was trying to bully them to annex. He was representing Garden City and tried to bully them to annex Berwick and Georgetown into Garden City, and the county pushed back. The citizens spoke up, and they took that legislation off the table. Wow. So I know they were trying to do some stuff in New Hampstead, weren't they? At one point.
I'm nothing lately. But that is interesting in itself. Hampstead.
Yeah. Exactly.
New Hampstead, right? Where that's at? Where that's located? New Hampstead High School and all that. That's part of the 5th District of Savannah. So if you're in Liberty City, 5th District, and then I got to drive down 16 to get to the other part of it. Yeah. That's a whole nother conversation.
But I thought about one other question. You said that CAT was a part of county services. Why does CAT know? Because I don't know. Maybe I misread this. Maybe I misheard this. But I was having a conversation with somebody, and it was told to me that CAT no longer services Pooler. They'll go to the city of Savannah, but like city of Savannah areas is by Pooler, but they don't actually have any bus stops in Pooler itself anymore.
Right. Just being blunt, the city residents has fought it for years. Although we need workers from Savannah to help support a lot of the businesses out here. And you got to remember, Carlton, that riding the bus is in some areas considered taboo. Like, oh, here comes the bad guys coming into our community. I mean,
that's the Johns Creek of the South.
Wow. So my solution to that is maybe do the shuttles versus if that will make the residents feel better, because at the end of the day the residents have a say on the services out there. So maybe we do a shuttle. I know the workers at Tanger needs transportation. They have to walk, from what I'm told, a mile from the bus stop outside of Tanger just to get to the outlet if they have to use public transportation. Port Wentworth just I think received service for the first time out there. So we do have I think it's coming. We may have to dress it up a little more for the residents, because you need a collective group to buy in that we need the service out there. And I can tell you now, the current commissioner, he's not going to sign off, just for the sheer fact it's about votes, and the residents don't want it, so he's not going to sign off on that. So, but it's needed. The county is the Chatham Area Transit Authority. So we manage the body there, and you're paying for it on your taxes, so it should be available to all municipalities.
What is the Robert? I know we discussed this when it came to city council election about how many council members it took to get a piece to bring something forth, and then how many it took to get it passed. Like how many does it take to get like a legislation brought to the table and then passed?
Some of agenda access, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different from Savannah. I think in the I believe the chairman and the manager sets that agenda. And I mean, the votes, you have to have majority votes to pass it, to pass whatever's on the table. But if I'm not mistaken, so I know Savannah changed the charter during the last administration, where you had to have the majority votes to put something on the agenda. It is not like that with the county. So,
yeah.
And the county body is a little different. Like I said, we deal with a lot of budgetary items. Probably that's the mostly what we deal with. So a lot of that stuff has to be brought. And I think the county manager really sets that agenda for us.
So let me ask you this. This is so all right. We're gonna talk about big time economic drivers through events. So you got St. Patrick's Day, you got Juneteenth, you got MLK Day, and you got Orange Crush. Why do we not we? Why is it that in your opinion that how do I want to word it? There are often times when cultural events get less of a strong or nice endorsement versus those that might be mainstream or majority driven.
And what are you referring to, like Orange Crush?
Right.
Or
now, because my thing is, I get it. We all get it. We Tybee Island don't look like us, but us come.
All right.
And West kind of ghetto sometimes, but it's fine. Because y'all come and tap the streets and we don't get mad about that. So, I mean.
Well, we need people, and I don't know if that's so much political driven thing, but we need, I see a lot of opportunity with the arts community and things that will drive minorities into the city that maybe we can do differently. That's a loaded question. So that's a loaded question. I don't know what's the proper answer for that. But so there are things like the Black Heritage that Festival that does well here, that has executive director that organizes it. And I think we need to fund. I know they get a lot of support from the city of Savannah. I think we need to purposely, intentionally fund organizations like that to drive cultural events into our city intentionally. I can't say who's approached the city, who's approached the county and different municipalities about programs that are minority driven, but I would say we do need to intentionally help those that come, because it takes money to run things like that, and we got to put it in our budgets. And I know the city of Savannah has they actually, I give them this, they do a great job with funding a lot of community events from different nationalities. So we got to encourage everybody, even from the county level, to make sure that we're intentionally doing that.
That's it. All right. Well, Carlton, we'll give you the last question, and we'll sign up till next week.
Well, I don't really have a question. I will make a statement about what you said earlier. I do agree that we do need a foundation for, especially when it comes to Black cultural events, because like the St. Patrick's Day that is driven by the Irish of Savannah community. Orange Crush, that was an absolute mess. And the only thing that I say about Orange Crush is the fact that they may have complained about them being here, but they will never complain about the dollars they made while they were here.
And that part. That's real. All right.
Yeah.
Atlanta, we'll give you the final statement.
Hey, so right now my race is in November. I don't have a primary opponent, so I won't be on the primary ballot in May.
Right.
But I have a huge election coming in November against the current commissioner. So definitely need your support, your prayers. You can get more information about my campaign at vote4FOR OrlandoScott.com. So thank you. It's always a pleasure chatting it up with the Watchdog crew.
I'm telling
you, my main man, Dr. Brian.
I'm trying to keep it alive over here.
You're doing. Thank you for all you're doing. All y'all doing with our Black media.
Yeah. Eunice has done a phenomenal job of building it up, and we're trying to get Carlton in here. I'm big on that, making sure.
I like Carlton. I like Carlton.
Oh man, he's incredibly smart and gifted. So yeah.
Oh, stop.
All right. All right, y'all have a good one. We'll see y'all next Saturday.
Thank you.
Right.
Like this.